The game is about as boring and as not fun as we could have expected. It's a team that sucks against a team that's playing a bunch of backups. Washington leads by a score of 10-7. So if you are the, hey, let's win it, whatever the cost, who cares about draft position, you're feeling good. That Tanner McGee interception to Jeremy Reeves, as far as those that are concerned with draft compensation, that one sucked a little bit. I'm Denton Day. I'm live from Honor Brewing in Sterling for the halftime show. We are active in the chat. You want to talk about the game? Hit me up in the chat. I'll take some of your questions, take some of your comments, take some of your concerns as well. As far as grading the first half, look, man, like this is what we expected. Washington's not very good. Philadelphia's not trying. They're just trying to get their guys incentives, and Washington still has a majority of their starters in on defense. That's kind of a kick to the pants. You're up 10-7 when you're playing a majority of your starters on defense and you're playing up against backups. They had Devontae Smith in the game so he could get over 1,000 yards as just a little bit of a boost to the ego to those in Philadelphia, which, side note, it is a little funny that Philadelphia, that has this boring-ass offense, and it is boring, now has two wide receivers that have gone over 1,000 yards. A.J. Brown has 1,003. Devontae Smith now has like 1,008. Based off of his performance in the first quarter today. So a little concerning that Washington is only up by 3 against this team. But in fairness, listen, man, they basically are a bunch of backups on that starting defense. What we are calling the starting defense, it has not been good. They are not very good. There's a bunch of dudes that are on the field right now that should not sniff the field anytime near the regular season in 2026. If you're paying attention to Bobby Wagner, he has just 1 tackle today. He needed 5 to get to 2,000. I was hoping in the first half he'd be able to, get more than 1. I was hoping he'd be able to get a majority of the 5 or 6 needed to surpass 2,000, and then we would not see him the rest of the game. I am going to be curious what the second half looks like in terms of who is playing for Washington, because at some point you're going to get a call from upstairs to be like, hey, pull the guys. If these are starters, get them out of the game. There is no rhyme or reason to have them still in the game, and you can miss me with all this what about culture stuff. The guys in the NFL should understand the premise that Washington is now trying to complete in the half number 2. You're trying to effectively lose the game. You are trying to get the best draft compensation that you can possibly get. If they lose, the worst they would be picking at is number 5 overall, with help from the Cardinals and theoretically the Jets, but I'm not on the crack. I'm not about to sit here and be like, yeah, the Jets are going to beat the Bills. They're not. The Jets suck. They're awful. But with a little bit of help from the Cardinals, Washington could potentially get up to 4th overall in the NFL draft. So with that said, I don't want to see any of the guys on defense anymore. Like, pull all of them. If you have a backup at a position, that backup should be playing in the second half. At the very least, maybe you see something on tape. Like Jordan McGee is a good example. He's played pretty well so far. Is he perfect? No, but he's played pretty well so far. You've seen a little bit of the speed from Jordan McGee, and I can say the exact same thing on the offensive side. I don't know why Sam Hartman is not playing. There is no rhyme or reason for Sam Hartman to not be playing. Like, Josh Johnson's a fun story, man, because he's been around the league for a long time. That dude is pushing 40 years old. Why on God's green earth is he playing right now? At least put the young kid in there just to see if he can do it at the NFL level. You're paying him to do so, and instead they make him the emergency third quarterback. It's complete nonsense. Terry's played well. I don't want to see him in the second half. Debo's played well. I don't want to see him in the second half. I kind of like Treylon Burks, so if we see more of Treylon Burks, I'm not upset about that. But he's like a perfect example, right? When you talk about young guys that you want to see, is there something here moving forward? Treylon Burks is a great example of that. Because from what I've seen from him in a very small sample size over the last 7 or 8 weeks here in D.C., I've seen enough to be like, hey, I kind of like what I see from him. I'd like to see him more, maybe in an extended role with a full training camp this offseason, learning the offense. However, that offense is going to look, whoever the offensive coordinator is going to be. More on that in a second. But Treylon Burks is a guy that I want to see put in some positions in the second half to see if he can do something. right? Like they've targeted him a couple times. He tried a one-handed grab when he was clearly getting held, which thankfully the refs called, that led to Washington's touchdown. But he tried the one-handed grab again. I think there's a little something there with Treylon Burks. I'm not going to say that he's wide receiver 2 in 2026. But if you go into 2026, you get another wide receiver this offseason to play alongside Terry, and then you position Treylon Burks to be either wide receiver 3 or 4, depending on how Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane look in 2026. I'm feeling pretty good about that unit. So I'd like to see a little bit more of Treylon Burks in the second half. He'd be a guy that I'd be keying in on. Don't need to see Terry. I don't. We don't need to see Terry anymore. He can't get any incentives unless you want to perform a little bit of tomfoolery. Terry in the first half had 4 receptions. He needed, if he wanted to get a $300,000 bonus, he needed 49 receptions in this game. So only 45 to go for Terry. And with that said, don't really need him in the game anymore. Take him out and put Treylon Burks in the positions, in the routes that Terry would normally run, and see what he can do against, admittedly, some Philadelphia Eagle backups. If you want to put Jeff Driscoll in, I'm not going to be upset about putting Jeff Driscoll in. I think for the running backs, keep it with Bill. He needs the reps. Keep it with Chris Rodriguez. He could use the reps. But as far as the guys that are getting paid an exorbitant amount of money, there's not really a need to see them in half number 2. There's just not. Like, Bobby should only be on the field on defense to get to 2,000 career tackles. And then once he gets to 2,000 career tackles, get him out of the football game. And I have no issue with keeping him in to get to 2,000 tackles. That's a very rare accomplishment that not many people in NFL history have ever been able to reach. And then on top of that, could Bobby come back? I'd say yes. Will Bobby play again in 2026? I have no idea. So with that said, like, get him the 2,000 and then get him out of the game. In half number 2, it just needs to be about guys. Like, if you are watching the game and you see a number make a play and you've been watching all season and you see a number make a play and you're like, who is that guy? Who cares? It's good. We want to see those kind of players making plays and making receptions and making tackles and making stops in the second half. This should now be about losing for Washington. It's not loser mentality. It's intelligence. There's nothing to be gained from beating Philadelphia other than some fake sense of pride. You're not really spoiling much for them. They've already decided they don't really care about the game. Give them the win so they can be the number 2 seed. They can get their ass kicked in the postseason, because objectively it's not a very good team, at least compared to what they were last year. It's a noticeable step back on defense for them. It's a noticeable step back on offense. Give them the win so they can parade the number 2 seed and get smacked around sideways in the first game of the postseason, and then give yourself an opportunity to get a better draft pick. It's very weird watching, and as we've watched the last, 10 weeks of the season, since most of the guys, Dorrance and Dietrich Wise and all these other guys went down, they don't have a game record. Even when Dorrance Armstrong and Dietrich Wise were healthy, those aren't game records. Dorrance Armstrong had a really great start to the season, and statistically, he was on a very, very crazy trajectory, but you knew that was not going to withstand over the course of a 17-game season. He's not a game wrecker. He's a good player. He'd be nice to be opposite of a game wrecker. He had success in that role in Dallas when he was opposite of Micah Parsons, but you should be working to get a better draft pick. And here's the thing. If you get the 5th overall pick, you are just about guaranteed one of either Arvell Reese, Reuben Bain, David Bailey, Caleb Downs, or Jeremiah Love. That's a pretty nice position to be in if you are Washington. So in half number 2, I want to see Jeff Driscoll. I want to see Treylon Burks at wide receiver 1. I want to see the guys that are the backups. I want to see more Ben Sinnott targets, not for some sort of development thing, but because there's no other options out there for Josh Johnson to throw to. I will give you some numbers of the first half, and if you're just joining us here on the Halftime Show on 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980, Washington leads Philadelphia by a score of 10-7. Jake Moody hit a field goal late from 55 yards after he missed one from 24 yards. When he missed one, man, I thought he was with us. He's like, hey, I am ready for that number 5 overall pick. I'm going to do whatever I can to help the football team out. And then he messed around and drilled the 55-yarder. So maybe a confidence boost for him, whatever. I can't imagine he's going to be back in 2026. We will likely continue this carousel that the organization has been on for the previous 6 years, where they don't have a sustainable kicker. But first half by the numbers, Josh Johnson's 11 of 16 for 100 yards. He does have one interception, and the interception was an awful throw. I mean, that ball just hung up there and hung up there and hung up there on what was an across-the-field throw to Deebo Samuel. Philadelphia guy picks it off, and then they squander it by throwing an interception to Jeremy Reeves just a few plays later. Johnson's also the leading rusher, 3 carries for 27 yards. Washington as a team has 17 carries for 67 yards. Chris Rodriguez, 6 of 25. Ja'Cory Cross-Demeritte, 7 of 14. Deebo has 1 for 1. In the receiving department, Terry got 4 catches for 57 yards. Deebo has 2 for 20. Treylon Burks, 2 for 12. Ben Sinnott, 2 for 3. Ben Sinnott, by the way, back-to-back catches on back-to-back plays. Hey, we love that. The Ben Sinnott train is here and rolling for Philadelphia. Tank Bigsby, 6 carries, 30 yards. That's 5 a pop. Tanner McKee, 10 of 16 for 148 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Devontae Smith caught 3 passes for 52 yards. Once he caught that big one for 27, he was pulled because that got him over 1,000 yards. There must have been an incentive in his contract to get 1,000 yards. This first half, though, has been exactly what we thought. It's a bad football team going up against a team that is resting a lot of their players. If Washington loses, the lowest they are drafting is 5th overall. So what you need to root for in half number 2 is the Eagles offense to explode and then Jacoby Brissett in Arizona to go crazy against the Los Angeles Rams. The Jets are a lost cause. Washington's not going to get number 3, but they might get 4 if they lose and Arizona wins. We'll be back. Linnell will be with me for the post-game show. Enjoy half number 2. I'll see you in about 90 minutes.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the Skate Podcast. If you want to see more of our videos, visit our playlist.
Not in front of a screen? You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment.